This warehouse here was started in 1959, not as a co-op, it was a corporation, but a group of growers, quite a group of growers, that wanted some control over their home processing and sales and so forth. So it was started in 1959, like I said, and in the 60s and 70s, between small whites and limas and a lot of seed beans, that we still do grow a lot of the seed beans, there was probably anywhere from 125,000 to 150,000 bags a year. But as the vegetable thing has gotten stronger and the beans not so, we're down to 40,000 plus bags of beans a year in the valley.
Okay, so just a couple of types, and then you get other beans that you process from other places?
Yes, yes. Most of it we grow here and process right here.
Okay.
And there's a lot of stuff you don't see on the shelf here that we do. We do a lot of export seed to Japan, to South Africa, to Guatemala, to England, Holland. In domestic, we do some trade with several companies out of Idaho. So we ship all over, and you know, this is a great area for seed because of the coastal climate. The fertile soil is number one in the coastal climate. It gives you good quality germination, high quality germination. I grew up with the old family ranch out there that we still have in the family. Was my grandparents. It was a dairy, and the crops that we grew then were support crops for the dairy. It was grain and corn and things like that. And then they sold the cows. We kept the ranch, but sold the cows. 20 different families own stock in the warehouse, myself being one. And over a period of time, you know, the majority of the folks said, hey, you know, we're either going to sell this thing lock, stock, and barrel, or if some grower wants to make us an offer to lease it, we'll do that. So I made an offer to long-term lease it by the inventory because the majority of the folks still want to see the place here and available for growers to have their beans processed, but they just didn't want the ties to it anymore. So, but it was losing money the last couple of years, so that meant we had to make some major changes, and we're still doing that. We've set up a second mill line now where we're doing specialty seed like cauliflower seed, celery seed, broccoli seed, things like that we never did before. And it's a way of trying to get the thing in the black and profitable once again.
Right.
The next closest place to process beans now is King City. There used to be 2 warehouses in Santa Maria.
That's further north, right?
Just over the hill, 20 miles to the north. There was 2 in Oxnard, and they're all gone. So and that's why the guy from Orange County is hauling his beans up here. It's the closest place that he has to process his beans. It's a combination of a lot of things. You know, anytime you can grow, you know, a commodity in a cheaper area, that's what happens. And again, you know, back when there was thousands of sacks of small whites grown here, now it's in Michigan, Minnesota, you know, in that area, you know, because it's cheaper. The ground's cheaper, the water's cheaper. Now, large limas are still real popular here because, again, we can raise a quality lima here that makes a canning quality lima that you cannot even get in the San Joaquin Valley because it's too warm and dry. To make a canning quality lima, you want about minimum of probably 13% up to 17% moisture in that seed. And so that's what we strive for here. In San Joaquin Valley, oftentimes they're 8–9%. And that has everything to do with the skin crack and the canners don't want that. And we get, right now we're getting a $12 per 100 premium on these canning quality beans. So it pays, so again, that's a commodity that we can grow here where it's more expensive to grow because we get a premium for it.
Where is the canning done? Is that like in Los Angeles or something?
It's doing. We ship beans all over. Bush Brothers is buying beans out of Tennessee. Hanover on the East Coast. S&W. There's 6 or 7 different canners that buy out of here in King City, the postal warehouses. So, well, let me start from the beginning. Here's the scale. Farmer brings his beans in a truck similar to that with a big bin on it.
How much do we weigh?
Tell her how much she weighs. The beans are received from the field by variety, by grower, and then assigned a lot number. And then there may be 10 truckloads in a lot, there may be 1, whatever the grower wants to do. So if they come in a big then they drive over the pit, which is coming up now, and hydraulically the beans are dumped into that pit, elevated up into these bins, and then put in big wood bins. Pit that we dump in lures outside, and then it gets elevated up from that elevator, gets hit in the bottom, and then flows down into this hopper, and then it gets fed evenly across. Now, there's no screens in here right now, but these little screens, as you can see, they're different sizes depending on what you're doing. Like the fava beans that we grow, The fava beans are big, so you got to have a big spoon to do that. And so this thing is shaking back and forth, the air blowing through it, and this is basically about getting rid of the chaff and the light stuff. And the good product flows on down into that. In each one of these warehouses, we have 3 of them. The first 2 are about 18,000 square feet each. It goes back quite a ways, as you can see. And all these beans are assigned a lot number. As you can see, these are screens, so this isn't an original lot number. But 8-832 is the original lot number, and it was a Bush Lima.
So these would be full of the beans that
Yes.
are just being stored here for...
Prior to cleaning. Now the fava bean that you would pick for fresh is green.
Right.
But when we carry it on to seed, then that plant just stays in the field longer until it starts to dry down.
Okay.
Yeah, and the same with the lima. These big bins are put in that dumper. The button is pushed, goes into the pit, elevated up into the mill. That's the mill up there. And all these are different screens that we can, depending on what variety of bean we're cleaning, we change the screen size. And so we have these different tubes that come down. And then it comes out of the mill, drops down through there. And you can see the carpet in there. And the same with here. And that's all just for patting, so that the beans are cushioned as they move through the process. And this machine here has a big blower. These beans are almost floating in there. This thing is shaking. Right here with these levers hydraulically, you can change the speed of the shake, you can change the flow of the wind, and you can change the tilt of the table. As you can see, there'll be 4 different cuts that will come off of this table. Now the light cut right here is no good. That will be elevated into this box. No good. The second cut is good product, but a few light ones in there. That will go to the second gravity deck, which takes another look at it. It's got a little finer adjustment to it, much smaller than this gravity deck. This cut, the major cut, goes up into the eye. That cut over there, and see these are all adjustable, that's where you'll have the heavy beans and some rock and dirt that are heavy also. That cut will go into that machine right there, which is a stoner. And that thing is set so it pulls the rock and the stone away from the beans. And then the beans that remain there, they will go up into the eye.